looking from the front of the United Nations building. You can see the flags so clearly. So many flags. Yet all joined together under the UN flag. But still every country wants their own flag. This is the irony of the flag display here. Sovereignty and unity. Not always easy. This is inside the main assembly hall of the United Nations in Geneva. It's a map of the world. A place for many delegates. Three stories auditorium. Internal architecture matches the external. A Geneva watch company. It's a view from the back of the assembly hall. Gives another perspective. I wonder how many countries there will be by the end of the 21st century.
In other words, for the very first time in the history of this mandate and this forum, we have the views and recommendations of almost 1,000 participants, including participants from 3 regions of the world, to better reflect the reality, context, and complexities in different countries beyond the not quite representative milieu of the forum over 2 days here at the Palais de Nation, Geneva. The recommendations are therefore much closer to what may be experienced in different parts of the world.
Plenary debate was in that hall. We can see the delegations continue. Looking out again over Geneva, you can see clearer sky, beautiful mountains, under some clouds. It really is a grand vista in the lake. It's a fountain of Geneva from the Palais of Nations. The doors into the assembly hall, an art display, partial lighting, the Palace of Nations. It's one of the features of Geneva, and what has made Geneva famous. Jacques Cousteau. Exhibition. Function area. vaulting ceiling. Flag is at half-mast for passing of a former Secretary General. These are the main doors of the Assembly Hall. Symmetrical. On the other side of the Assembly Hall, various murals. It's a large palace. Art exhibition has just finished. Facing this is Lake Geneva. Flag of the United Nations and the Palace of Nations. Large space. Two wings on the sides of the main building. The peoples and nations of the world. Palace of Nations building. Restaurant, cafeteria. Greening the Palace of Nations. And if I smoke, it's a mind and so do others. Geneva, a place of peace and human rights. The UN gives a voice to those who are just. So very many smaller rooms on the side. Palace of Nations. So within every few days they change the art. It's in the main space outside the Palace of Nations. It's a boat with an oar. It's the most interesting display. Of course it is Geneva, and then you can see even more of the mountains behind. Through the layer of clouds you can see maybe the Mount Blanc and other mountains. This results. It's a very beautiful view. So this is the view from the outside of the main assembly building, the Palace of Nations. Toilets, recycling bins. Snow on the mountains. The library was established in 1919 by the League of Nations. Florence Wilson, letter of appointment and portrait, first head librarian. Secretariat of the Labour Office, 1923. Telegraph letter and portrait. John Rockefeller Jr. gave $2 million to a league. Report of the Secretary General, 1949. The Palace of Washington to the Palace of Nations. Architectural Commission. In the 1930s, and the building is being made. Down of a library. Evolution of library spaces. Podcast of your library. History of the architecture. Many of the materials. Albert Einstein. Drywall. Library building. And this is the meeting room. Meeting room 20, where the Human Rights Council is being held. Some star buttons. Many reading rooms in the library. The elevators of a building. Go down to the first floor from the third floor. Find a museum. The style of the elevators is also interesting. From the League of Nations to the United Nations. 100 years of multilateralism in Geneva. It's a museum looking at the role of Geneva as a League of Nations. Drugs seized by authorities in the combat against narcotics in the 1930s. The role of Geneva, city of multilateralism. Heads of government in the Secretary Courtyard. Head of USSR, Dwight Eisenhower, USA, France, and Prime Minister of England. The signatures. 1955. Some of the archives. Different faces of multilateralism, including disarmament. Pacific Settlement of International Disputes, 1924. The Rhineland Pact, the Locarno Agreements. Prevention and Punishment of Terrorism, which is still being discussed. For 100 years. Preliminary discussions on the European Union. The origins of modern multiculturalism. Henry Legrand, 1662. International Telegraph Convention, 1890. Sanitary Convention in 1897. Turning point of World War I. The Covenant of the League of Nations. It's my history. Nobel Prize to International Office for Refugees. 1938, Nobel Peace Prize, Office of United Nations High Commissioner of Refugees. In 1981, to the Human Rights Commissioner. Various displays in the video. You can see historic videos from the 1930s. It's the main entrance to the library. It's very beautiful stairs. Between the main building and building E, you can see multi-floored walkways. There's artwork. That's the library in this corner. Going to building E, which is where the Human Rights Council is being held. Portraits of Sadness. Commission photographer. You can see many active art displays.
But it can happen that it's so for
National Assembly of Vietnam. Church of Baroto, architecture, different gifts from different delegations. exhibition spaces. Goes into the room 20. It's a display of human rights. Peace and stability, the terms religious harmony. Various groups in Xinjiang is trying to promote a particular portrayal of cultural cooperation. So, freedom of expression is very critical. Display forums allow expression of different opinions. A celebration of human diversity. Many meeting rooms. Coronavirus. Separation of waste. Meeting spaces. More displays. Beautiful cafeteria. Lake Geneva. Different art in the gardens next to the mountains. This is room 20. Outside of room 20, we find more displays of art. In the Republic of Zimbabwe. Ancient boat. One. Security is off because it's just NGOs here now.
There are also continuous improvement of the system of special procedures and its function. The report before you presents also the various initiatives taken by special procedures and the coordination committee in this context. The internal reflection on several aspects of our working methods and the related update of our manual of operations is
NGOs speaking.
In the last month, the Coordination Committee has maintained an ongoing dialogue and engagement with
This side of room 20. Series of displays on the right of people. Economic and social rights. Rights, human beings, and alliance against civilizations. There's artwork on both sides. Dialogue of civilizations. Human Rights Council. The security gate for the United Nations is a display of FAO. So this is an entrance. You can see the multiple types of recycling here. Coronavirus. Welcome. So this is things. Sun garden here. Bonjour. Hello. Building E. This is the ground level of Batman E, Building E. It is below room 20 and above room 18. The bar, the cafe. See, the construction is quite modern. This is a place for temporary displays, celebrating art. But perhaps the greatest art is outside. This is the grounds of the United Nations outside the Palais of Nations. The sun has come out. Some blue sky, some statues, seats outside. Building. Now is a celebration of outside as well as inside. There's the balcony, especially in the summer. People may go out and enjoy the Lake of Geneva. sorts of spaces, celebration of culture and art, are what we expect from the United Nations. On the ground floor, library, documentation center. You have display on the towards a world free of nuclear weapons. It has some roof tile exposed to heat, melted together, atomic bomb victims, the beginning of a nuclear age, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The expansion of nuclear arsenals, the importance of disarmament. These are from Irakami Cathedral, angel sculptures from Nagasaki. We hope that the UN will have a world free of nuclear weapons. This is one of the goals. As we look out over Lake Geneva, hoping for peace. Well, time to go to the airport. Right hand side is the documentation center for each day's activities, picking up papers. Provide so many papers for people to read from both governments and NGOs. This is in the gardens, outside of a window. Some people are enjoying the sunshine. It's been a long time over the winter. Many trees are still yet to gather their branches. The snow mountains and a number of pieces of art representing some of the culture and some of the art from around the world. It's from those windows looked out from the art display from building E, the Palace of Nations. The main part of the building, the old palace, is on that side, to the west. Ground is still soft from perpetual rain. There are descriptions for some of the plants. Introduced into England in 1785. Bottlebrush buck eye. You cannot access the UN on this side, but there is at least a garden for people to enjoy. Underground car park for access. Very interesting and strange structure, which must have a story. Wildflowers are growing in the garden under the trees. The Lake Geneva. People together. That's what the United Nations is meant to represent. The Palace of Nations in Geneva. It's a rather interesting tree. This is called Weeping Sequoia. The crocuses are out. I missed to see the crocuses. And the daffodils. Rows of daffodils and spring flowers, so people can enjoy different seasons with different flowers. It's an interesting piece of art. Different designs. Broken tree. Daffodils in the grounds of the Palace of Nations. Walking around from Batman E. This is the main complex where the Assembly Hall of Nations from the original League of Nations building, now United Nations building in Geneva, is located. Overlooking Geneva. Spring is in the air. A weeping cherry blossom. Famous monument to symbolize the place where nations of the world should get together. So this is in front of a Palace of Nations. You can see the meeting rooms on both sides, the administrative center, the staff, the UN working there in Geneva. In 1921, Woodrow Wilson, there seems to be a memorial fountain, but the design includes some of the animals. So it's very interesting, symbolizing the earth, but actually with biodiversity. There's no wind today. The flag is still United States. Must have given this statue. There are people on this side. And the view in the distance of the mountains, Mont Blanc and others. These are the Swiss Alps. In the summer, they have water in the fountain, but not today. Palais of Nations. It's been a great initiative. The League of Nations failed, of course, to prevent World War II. Hopefully the United Nations will prevent a world war, but certainly many Cold Wars. There's a name for this monument. Rebirth. Different blocks, different stones. People can enjoy. Republic of Korea. Portugal, Cologne, Philippines, Paraguay, New Guinea, Papua New Guinea. French, so each stone has its own country name. Fiji, Estonia. 12 members of the United Nations have this stone. Not to forget, they also have some beehives. Can enjoy and find from the building stones we build our nations. It's very symbolic. Has the United Nations worked to do this? In some cases, yes. Eritrea, Equatorial Guinea, El Salvador, Egypt, Ecuador, Republic of Dominic, Djibouti, Denmark. Excuse me for not reading every stone, but it's a really remarkable piece of art in the UN gardens. These are some of the wildflowers that are planted here, giving an explanation. The prairie flowers. This, of course, is a memorial of somebody taking a sleep next to it. Freedom of expression. In fact, symbolic. Human beings are the center of this organization. Different UN agencies are located around the main UN complex. From this angle, lakeside, we can see the colors of the bronze. You can see the writing. Different statues were provided from different countries in memory of the building of the UN and peace. You can walk on top of a monument. It's really powerful and symbolic. Can people rise to the sky? I hope so. We certainly need this. The enthusiasm, the energy, the passion of people. It's very critical for generating a new world. And it's made of reflection that you can see images that you'd like. Must be a gift for the Soviet Union. OMM, WMO. Agencies all around. Cedars of Lebanon. It is a wonderful tree. You can see this giant tree, but now I understand what they mean by a cedar of Lebanon. It's grown here. Meters across. Please do not touch. It even has, to protect it, it has an electric rod, lightning rod. Because otherwise, the poor tree may be dead. It's nice to protect it. Trees still being planted as well. Statues. Persons. Nicolas Turtelesque, Permanent Assembly, President of Academy Diplomats of Paris, 1934. Diplomacy is certainly a difficult subject to study. How do we get all the peoples of the world to agree? Poppies and flowers. Do not walk. Ravens or crows. Somebody has a ham radio antenna. It's on the lakeside of the Palace of Nations. Various flowers put together into this nice flower bed. Some are wild, the daffodils, crocuses. The gardeners have made plans carefully. Provides a wonderful fitting for the United Nations building. So he's putting the shutter down on their room. It may be afraid of the sunlight. So it's a very large building, Palais. You can see the video camera on top. Put there sensibly. These little glass rooms outside are for smokers. They must go here, it's their right. Holy Oak. Interesting. Discover richness and diversity of plants in the 46-hectare Ariana Park with flower meadows, woodland and age-old trees on the walking trails. The Nation's Gate, Kuta Secretariat, Regna Gate. There's the flagpoles. Looks like a magnolia. Maybe it's a rhododendron. It's going to come out later anyway. Tree planted in a stump. No doubt another video camera on the end of this building. Security is a real concern. And we see the flags and the flagpoles. Arana Park, promoting biodiversity. The United Nations. Flags of member states. There are lights, rows and rows of flags. And at the end, famous chair, broken because the world is fighting in a war sometimes. People and cycles. This is meant to be for cycles, but I take this from his angle because the colors are better for the flags. Probably, if you look carefully, you'll see your flag there. I wonder what they'll do when they need more flagpoles as more sovereign nations become independent. Each will have their flag. In the center of the nations, they have different NGOs with their tents, and they protest and hold different events. And people can enjoy and learn about them. It's inside the main forces of the UN. Picture of the old Palace of Nations. Designs.
That looks like a wood wall. So this is really the administrative offices.
For prime ministers.
Well, yeah, important dignitaries.
So it's architecture. More paintings. Different stairs. Stairway 4. Long row of offices to reach to the central shop. On the grounds of the UN building, you see the central administration, of the Palace of Nations. You see also old stately buildings from the old days of Geneva. Geneva is a city dedicated to peace, international business and collaboration. This is in Arizona cypress. It's a bit colder here than in Arizona, but it is growing. Cedars of Lebanon, Arizona cypress, many different trees from all around the world. This is another entrance on the Apia side, the United Nations. This is a grand entrance to the plenary assembly hall from outside. The security gate. It's a museum of the Red Cross. Branches. A fallen angel. We certainly need angels. So when we see that position, it's quite interesting. International Red Cross and Red Crescent is just above the hill, looking in on the UN. This is a statue of Gandhi. Unmistakable, in front of the Palace of Nations. The crocuses are out in Darryl Park. It's a large library on the grounds of the Palace of Nations. This is the Russian embassy on the corner with the Red Cross. Porcelain refugees. It's a museum of ceramics in Geneva. It's next to the United Nations. Red Cross. In the suburbs of Geneva. You can see the birds, the mountains, the trees. This is a part of French Geneva, in France. And Fernie and Osney. Good place for skiing. Residential houses. Spring is out. Houses in the suburban commuting area from Geneva. People are on their way to work just after 8 o'clock. You can hear the noise of jet planes from Geneva Airport, about 2 or 3 miles away. The mountains surrounding Geneva and the suburban areas in France feeding into Switzerland. There is no border, it's all the Schengen zone and allows people to freely go back and forth. On the way to Geneva. People waiting for the bus. It's the way to Airbnb estate. And that little sauce. Schedule is clear. Cherry blossoms coming up. Everywhere one can see flowers. International School, which is next to WHO. UN complex. International Union for Migration, and also on the other side is WHO. Long Geneva.
Prochain arrêt, BIT.
Traveling from the Palace of Nations towards the World Health Organization. Stops first at
Ça va?
International Telecommunications. It's available next to the bus. All for all. It's the World Health Organization.
Prochain arrêt, OMS, terminus.
These are the doors to the World Health Organization. So the world and the medical snake. It's always an interesting concept. The 6 official languages. This is the concept. Global health. Outside. (2020) is the International Year of the Nurse and the Midwife. Every year we'll celebrate some of the health professionals. And this is a statue in the conquest of smallpox, an unprecedented achievement made possible by all nations working together. On 8th of May 1980, it was considered the end of smallpox. Health for all. Stressing of chain, a child leading an adult blinded by river blindness. So this is the World Health Organization. This is the Russian embassy opposite the Palais of Nations. Here. Plastic bags. It's easy to keep the place clean with their plastic bags. Beer. Jars are out. Of Russia.
Prochain arrêt, Nation.
Provides more information on the buses. The transport map. The airport. This area is called Nations. It's a Palace of Nations. And it's in front of the Palace of Nations. Various NGOs have protests against this is the broken chair. It's a good site for protesting in front of the United Nations. From Nations Square, looking to the Lake Geneva direction. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. Bicycles sharing a lane. It's gradually starting to see people wearing masks, but almost nobody was wearing masks yesterday. Style of buildings in Geneva, not tall, functional. This is a memorial to refugees. So these are Geneva. Looks like the main office. Commissioner of Refugees there. This is the center of the station. This is in front of the UN. It's a very modern architecture. House of Peace. Graduate Institute. People coming and going. The mountains of Switzerland. Many of the places here for NGOs as well as the Graduate Institute have the buildings here. You must be careful on the stairs. Learning Week. Asian Center for Conflict. Very modern. The architecture in Switzerland. The fronts of the trains with different images. Lemon Express. Lemon is the area around here. That's the fence. The United Nations is on that side.
Acheter 600 moitiés.
It's a nice signs for the Botanic Gardens. It's a map. The Botanic Gardens. It's in front of the UN. You can see the Palace of Nations at the back. In front, the gardens. On the other side of the gardens is the Lake of Geneva. Question of biodiversity. So again, it's very green. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
different elements. Those who like the botanic gardens. A little bit of history. It's an arid zone with cactus. Bonjour. Any daffodils? Must have an international garden. Clean water. You can see the lake on the other side of the garden. Flowers out. There are flowers for each season. Please don't step on the flowers. It's an old conservatory. Some images of nature in the pictures. Actually walking from the top of the garden through the gardens. There's a lot of water features. Cemetery. Flowers. Overview of the Palace of Nations. Conservatory. Finally, get to see the lake. Lake Geneva. Next to the gardens. The flowers of spring. Still a lot of leaves to come on these trees. It gives us an essence of the botanic gardens. Statues. It's a very grand building here. OMC, which is the World Trade Organization. Some nice statues in Geneva. This is a statue of Gandhi. unmistakable in front of a Palace of Nations. The crocuses are out in the Arian Park. It's a large library on the grounds of a Palace of Nations. This is the Russian embassy on the corner with the Red Cross. Porcelain refugees. It's a museum of ceramics in Geneva. It's next to the United Nations. Red Cross. International Red Cross building. Red Cross and Red Crescent. Humanitarian. Celebrating 150 years for Red Cross. The main museum is upstairs. Entrance is 15 Swiss francs, about 18 euros. This is a complete collection of International Red Cross. Review of Red Cross 1800 to 2018, along the top. Humanitarian debate. In 50 years. Descriptions, humanitarian workers and people affected by armed conflict. Can this change the history? Yes, they can. This belonged to a Lebanese Red Cross, and a bullet is wedged between the pages. I guess this saved the person's life directly. It's an interactive display. How can children be better protected? Conflict in Syria. Some of the ideas found in the review of a Red Cross history in the movement. Dialogues of humanity. Each photo captures a time and a place. All around the world, we see issues, whether it be in Myanmar, Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, in the north, in the south, Somalia. Interactive chronology. How do you feel when you see this photograph? It's a chronology. These pictures. It's the legend of the images in this particular display. You can find more about them. Dialogues in humanity. Looking from the front of the United Nations building, you can see the cloud, the flag so clearly. So many flags. Yet all joined together under the UN flag, but still every country wants their own flag. This is the irony of the flag display here. Sovereignty and unity, not always easy.